time I went one layer deeper, the product started falling apart. Beginners look for exciting products, experienced sellers look for manageable problems. Last week, I sat down with a very simple goal: find one Amazon FBA product idea. Just one. Not a big product, not $1 million product, just something that looked realistic enough to analyze. I opened my product research tool, made coffee, opened a spreadsheet, and told myself, okay, today we are going to be practical. And for the first 20 minutes, it actually felt exciting. I found a silicone sink organizer, then a bamboo drawer divider, then a glass water bottle with time markers, then a foldable rock basket, and each product had that magical moment where you think, wait, maybe this is it. But every time I went one layer deeper, the product started falling apart, like completely falling apart. One had too many reviews, one had no real margin, one was too bulky, one had scary customer complaints, one looked easy to copy, and after 2 hours I wasn't finding products anymore. It was falling into the product research rabbit hole. So today I want to take you through the rabbit hole, product by product, and show you why Amazon FBA product research is much messier than people make it look online in YouTube videos. Hi, I'm Katya. I'm an Amazon seller since 2008 and founder of DNX AI, an Amazon autopilot. So try it, we have a free trial period. And this video is not to be going a clean tutorial like apply these 5 filters and 5 a winning product. Because honestly, I don't think product research works like that anymore. Real product research feels more like you find something promising, you get excited, then you check the details, then you get disappointed, unfortunately, then you move to the next idea. And after a while, you realize the goal is not to find a product with like no problems at all. The goal is to find a product where the problems are visible, manageable, and not hell. So let me show you what that actually looks like. The first product I found was a silicone sink organizer. You know those small trays people put near the kitchen sink for sponges, soap, brushes, maybe a little dishcloth. First glance, I liked it very much. First glance, I liked it really a lot. It was in home and kitchen category, which I understand very well. My brand DNX is in and kitchen category. It's stainless steel pots. It was simple, no electronics, no complicated certification, not too fragile, not too expensive to manufacture, and it had a clear use case because obviously every kitchen has a sink, everything gets messy, people want something clean, minimal, and aesthetic because we are living in epoch of social media. My first thought was, this could work. I started imagining the listing, a beautiful kitchen photo, a clean white sink, the organizer in ash or gray color. Maybe a little drainage design, maybe anti-slip silicone, maybe a premium version for modern kitchens. And honestly, this is the most dangerous part, because before I checked the real numbers, I was already building the brand in my head and dreaming way too much. I could see the made picture, I could see the packaging, I could see the bullet points. Keep your sink area clean, flexible food grade silicone, fast drying. It felt like a real product in my head. But then I opened the actual Amazon search results and reality arrived very quickly. The top listing had thousands of reviews, like not hundreds, but thousands. And they were not bad listings either. Some of them had good photos, strong ratings, coupons, variations, and very competitive prices. So now the question changed. It was no longer, is this a useful product? Of course it is. The question became, why would a customer buy my product? Because if a launch with 0 reviews next to a product with 8 reviews, I need a very strong answer. Better design, better material, better photos. But is that enough? And more importantly, can I explain the difference in the second on the search result page? Because customers don't study your listing like a business case. Obviously, they scroll, they compare price, photo, coupons, delivery date, and reviews. And if your product looks only slightly different, you may need to compete with price and PPC. That's where the product started to look a bad product. It was just a product where the review wall was too high and the differentiation was not obvious enough. So I wrote in my spreadsheet, useful product, strong demand, but very, very crowded. Hard to enter without reviews or a very visual difference. and then I moved on. I moved to a next product. Let's go further. The second product was a bamboo drawer divider. At first, this one looked even better. It felt more premium, which is good. It had a higher value. It fit the organization trend, and I liked that it was made of bamboo because bamboo products can feel eco-friendly, warm, and more expensive than plastic products. So again, my brain started working. Maybe I could create a set of adjustable bamboo dividers, maybe nicer packaging, maybe target kitchen drawers, office drawers, baby drawers, makeup drawers, maybe make the listing very lifestyle driven, like organize your home in 10 minutes, from messy drawer to drawer. This product had a nice emotional angle, so I liked it. Then I checked the price, and this is where the second rabbit hole opened. The selling price looked decent, but not amazing. Many competitors were selling multi-packs. That means the customer is not buying one small piece, they a set. And with sets, your cost of goods goes up, your package size goes up. Then I started reading, and the complaints were very revealing. Some customers said the dividers didn't stay in place, they said they were too short, some said the spring tension was too weak, some said the bamboo cracked. And I asked myself, can I fix them profitably? Because better bamboo costs more. That's the hidden trap. If the product becomes more expensive to make, can I still sell it at a competitive price? So in my spreadsheet, again, I wrote beautiful product, emotional use case, but quality and sizing issues. Margin may disappear if we actually make it good. And I moved on again. The third product was a glass water bottle with time markers. You've probably seen this, a clear bottle with motivational time mark on the side. 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., keep going, almost there. At first, I liked this product because it had a simple promise. Drink more water, stay healthy, track your daily hydration. Potentially, my TikTok-style content could be positioned for women, fitness, office workers, moms, students. So again, for a few minutes, I was interested. Then I started checking real-world problems. First, it's glass. Glass breaks. That means packaging matters, shipping matters, and return matters. A lid can leak. A sleeve can smell weird. A cap can break, and when people buy a bottle, they are very sensitive to small problems. If it leaks one in a bag, that's a really bad review. If it arrives cracked, that's a refund. If the lid feels cheap, that's a complaint. Then I checked the competition. There were already many bottles, plastic bottles, glass, stainless steel bottles, motivational bottles, minimalist bottles, large and small, with straws, with sleeves, Stanley cups. If I make it prettier, is that enough? If I make it more premium, will people pay more? If I make it cheaper, do I still have margin? And then I saw another issue. This is the kind of product where people often buy based on style. That means you may need multiple colors, multiple sizes, maybe different lids, maybe different packaging, and every variation creates inventory complexity. Let's say I choose 4 colors. Now I don't have one product, I have 4 inventory bets. Maybe beige sells, maybe pink sells, maybe blue doesn't sell, maybe black sells slowly. So cash is split across variation. And if one color sells out while another sits in stock, the business becomes harder. This is the part of Amazon FBA that looks boring but matters a lot. Inventory complexity can kill your cash flow. So, unfortunately, again, I wrote in my spreadsheet, visually attractive, clear use case, but fragile, competitive, variation heavy, and potentially high return risk. And by this point, I was starting to feel the rabbit hole. Because product number 1 had too much competition, product number 2 had quality and margin issues, product number 3 had fragility and variation risk. So if you are doing Amazon FBA product research and every product starts looking bad, you are not necessarily... So if you are doing Amazon FBA product research and every product starts looking bad, you are not necessarily doing it wrong. You may actually be doing it really right, because the deeper you go, the more risks you see. Beginners look for exciting products, experienced sellers look for manageable problems. Beginners ask if this product selling, experienced sellers ask why is this product selling and can I survive the cost of competing. That's the real product research rabbit hole. It's frustrating, it's messy, it can make you feel like nothing works, but it also protects you from the expensive mistakes. So the next time you find a product that looks perfect, don't ask, how fast can I launch this? Ask, what am I not seeing yet? Because that hidden layer is usually where the real business is. See you in the next video. Bye bye.